you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? Oh yeah, it seems like we're live. Yeah, give me a second. I'm so new to this. I'm such a boomer for YouTube and everything. Yeah. Hey. If you guys see me looking up, that's where my second monitor is. So yeah, I'm gonna be weird though looking up half of the time. How's it going, everybody? Yeah. Wow, yeah. Huh. We already have some people in here. That's surprising. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna get started right away. So today, the idea was to do the portfolio review in a fun way. I've never seen this before, so we're gonna use a tier list. We're gonna uh, we're gonna take 5 to 10 minutes to go through all of the portfolios, or at least as many as I can go through, and we're gonna do a tier list format. So we're gonna be uh, ranking your portfolio to whether you're ready for work or you definitely need to watch more Proco. Uh, Even though the title says like Riot artist crushes your hopes and dreams, I hope this is just a funny way to catch a guy's attention. I don't mean to be anything like that. And if you happen to be ranking in one of the bottom categories instead of the top ones, it just means that you need more work. It just means that you need to put more time and effort into the journey, but it doesn't reflect into any uh, of the value that you have of yourself. So the way that we're gonna do this is I'm gonna set up a timer in here, and we're gonna do a random number. Uh, because I have the list with as many of the portfolios as I could gather. I have 45 in here, and it's gonna be a ginormous list if I kept adding. So I stopped at 45 because I felt like that was reasonable, and so I have everyone's picture in here that I have that have submitted a portfolio, and I assign them a number from 1 to 45, and we're gonna do a random number to basically see which one gets the portfolio review. So, yeah, shall we get started? I'm kind of nervous. Like, I have looked at some of the portfolios. Some of them were really freaking good. I'm actually scared because I may have nothing really like super helpful to say to some of them, but we'll see how it goes. Uh, so here's the list. It's a pretty big list, like I said. So we're gonna do a random number from 1 to 45. I know I'm such a boomer. I'm using like the fanciest tools ever, right? So we're gonna generate a number. Here we go. Number three. Okay. Who's the lucky winner? We have Fallerium. I hope that's how you pronounce your name, by the way. Uh, so, yes. Here we go. Okay, we have a nice landing page. So I'm gonna do 10 minutes in here. You guys see it? 10 minutes. And we'll see how it goes. Okay, so this is the landing page. Okay, we have some illustrations in here, and it seems like we have a... Huh, that's interesting. So we have some illustration work. We have some thumbnails and kind of a process view right here at the left side of the screen. Uh, I would say like first for the first portfolio in here, this is pretty good. I do have some comments and suggestions. The first one being, if I was an art director and if I was a recruiter trying to look through your portfolio, I feel like there's a little bit of clutter in the page that needs to be sorted out. because think about it as if you're watching a reel, or as if you're watching a YouTube short or something like that. Um, this kind of portfolio will not perform really well in the eyes of a recruiter because there's way too many things going on at once. I feel like you just need to uh, narrow it down to some of your best illustration work, and actually the flashiness of the page is what's distracting from the portfolio. So I have like way too many buttons and way too many options for me to click in here. And like for example, this project is really nice, but I don't know. I'm a boomer. I'm a huge fan of the good old ArtStation way of looking at things. I see the thumbnails. If I like it, I can click it in and learn more about it instead of displaying the full artwork if I'm not interested in that one. And I do see we have some buttons in here. Let's click on those. Okay, I see some illustration work and some backgrounds. Okay, so overall, I would say the quality of the illustrations is great, but I also think this one lacks a little bit of direction because we see uh, some illustrations that might feel like done by another person, you know? It's not giving me a clear vibe of, okay, I want to be an illustrator for this company, or I want to be a concept artist for this game, or whatever. So we definitely need to trim it down to like 3 to 4 pieces. Some of these are really, really good. Let's see. Like you see what I mean? I feel like this is the problem with the page. Like I'm drawn to this illustration because it's pretty good. And if I wanted to learn more about it, let's see if I wanted to have the thumbnails and the uh, your thought process behind this thing, I cannot do it because I'm stuck in this view. So I have to manually look for it all the way down here, and it's kind of inconvenient, you know? So that's what I would say in here. In terms of art fundamentals and in terms of storytelling, I feel like this is pretty damn good. You have a solid composition, you have a nice eye for contrast, I would say. Mm, but still, to me, the vibes that this is giving me is that, okay, you love painting and you're really good at it, but you just don't know what to do just yet. So I would quite literally pick a lane, try to go for something a little bit more specific, because I feel like that's the way that you really can get a job. You know, you have to be very, very specific into the things with the things that you really want to do. So if it is characters, and if it is like concept art or something like that, you need to be very specific and basically get rid of everything else, because ultimately that is going to dilute the message for an art director. You know, if they were to see you, if they were to see your portfolio, it would be pretty confusing to them, like why you have something like this in here. I get that you want to show variety and that you want to show a little bit more of, all the range of things that you can do, but that's not really the way that it works, or the way that at least it has worked for me. So, yeah, beautiful illustration, this one that you have right here. I assumed you want to be a, well, sort of a League of Legends illustrator, and you're well on your way. Definitely, this is really good. I feel like there's some things that you could improve in here, uh, basically regarding to the overall, I would say proportions of the body, and I would say stylization of the body. Um, Let me give you some feedback really quick with this one. Mm, I'm gonna create, I'm gonna copy it, I'm gonna paste it in here, and we'll see. So let me pick a random splash art from any of the guys at Riot, and we're gonna do a comparison side by side, so you can see the things that I mean. Let's see, someone who's standing. This is pretty good. So, it's not that your art is not really living up to Riot standards. I feel like what you're doing, what you're doing in here, it's beautiful. But I would say stylistically, it's not matching everything that they really need in an illustration for in order to succeed in their style. So the first thing that I see is the cropping, the composition of the image. Because even though the composition is beautiful and it has like this sort of rhythm, I would say you would barely ever see a character in League of Legends showing the full standing pose. Usually you would cut the frame just about here and try to fit everything within this frame. Or you can make it bigger and maybe all the way down here, you know? So that's one thing you can do to make it more League of Legends like. I know you wanted to probably show all these flowers and all these beautiful things in here. Okay, we can work with that. Even though if you don't want to like zoom in to just focus on the character, we can still work with the things that you have right here. Some other things that I can see is regarding something really important for League of Legends and for Riot in general is their illustrations need to be super clear when it comes to showing depth. What I mean by this is they always want to show a background, a midground, and a foreground element, you know? And they have to be super, super clear to the viewer and easy to understand which one is closer to the camera and which one is further ahead. So what I would say is we could grab some of these flowers. I'll create a copy. We could grab some of these flowers in here and make them bigger. You know, that is going to give us a lot more of an idea of how this scale works on these things. That's point number one. Point number two is I see that you wanted to do some foreshortening with this leg right here. And again, the problem might be that this is probably what you would expect to see in real life, but Riot has a way of stylizing things that's very much breaking the rules of reality. So I would say this is not the most aesthetic way, according to Riot, to try and show this leg. If you wanted it to make it a little bit closer to what they have, you need more consistency within the drawing. So the reason that it feels weird in the proportions to me is because I see this leg in the front like coming forward, right? Beautiful. But I don't see the same level of distortion in the rest of the body of the character. So if I were to cover the leg, quite literally, if I were to do this, the character looks like it's frontal, like it's not really in the same perspective as the lower body. And that is kind of the thing that's throwing me off. So if I were to fix this, I would try to redraw and liquefy either the upper torso or the, okay, that's the alarm. I would try to redraw the upper torso or liquefy it in a way that's a little bit more in perspective. Like, yeah, there's many tweaks and changes we could do, but yeah, I hope this review was a little bit helpful. I know it's super, super short, but we have so many to go through. So yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for submitting the portfolio again, and we'll see who's the next lucky winner. I'm gonna hide this thing. Yes. So we're gonna pick another number from 1 to 45. And here we go. 23. Okay, who's 23 on the list? We got Maresa. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Yeah, this is the thing with names. I have no clue how to do it. Oh, okay. Okay. I like this. I like what I'm seeing. Is Marisa in here with us? Manifest yourself. Yeah. Where are you supposed to send your portfolios for review? Uh, I think the last 2 weeks I told you guys to send the portfolios to my DMs or to my email, whichever was most convenient. So I don't think we really do have more room for more portfolios this time. Maybe we'll do the next one. And yeah, maybe if you wanted your portfolio to be reviewed, you can DM me on Instagram, and when we get a chance to do it, we'll do it. So let's see. Marisa, I'm gonna say 10 minutes again. So you want to be an illustrator and a concept artist. Okay, let's go through all the illustrations that we have here. So I would say this is a fairly strong piece. Compositionally, it's beautiful. You have all the supporting elements to the piece, which are the thumbnails. It shows me that you're thinking, and you have some nice close-ups of the details and everything. Beautiful stuff. What else? Let's look at some other ones. Oh, we have some character design sheet in here. Okay, we do have some interesting character designs. I see. But now we have some key art, which we do have the thumbnails for, which is amazing. Oh, we have the video process for it. Very nice. You have what it looks like a VizDev illustration or something like that. Yes. Okay, we have a illustration. Okay, so overall, I got some really good news for you. You are amazing. You pretty much know, it shows that you have a grasp and you have a good understanding um, of the art fundamentals. But what I would feel like you would benefit the most from is just, again, honing down into just one, just pick a lane, basically. You're saying yourself you want to be an illustrator or a concept artist. In my experience and all the professionals that I know in the industry, like 99% of them are hired to do one thing. So that was something that I also struggled with at the beginning when I did the mentorship with Anthony Jones, the robot pencil. He's a monster artist. He is amazing. And when I started the mentorship, I didn't have any portfolio work, and I said I wanted to be a splash illustrator. The thing with splash illustration is that you do something like this. And at the very beginning, I was really concerned about I don't even know what I'm gonna draw. I don't even know what I'm gonna paint. So I asked if I should design the characters that I wanted to paint. He said, "You can do it, but people don't care. If they're gonna hire you for illustration, they don't care about your concept art skills, because at the end of the day, that's gonna be all handed to you, and all they care about is your ability to turn that concept into something beautiful." So what I would say is, if you want to show that you have some concept art skills, uh, you include the concept art within the post itself that you do for this illustration. So let's say this is a character that you designed. Well, you put it all the way down here, and it's going to be like 10 to 20% of the overall content of this post, because you want to be super crystal clear that people associate your name with splash illustration. Uh, So basically, I would reframe this portfolio into, okay, anything that's not illustration, I'm gonna take it out or I'm gonna hide it, and I'm gonna do more illustration work. Like for example, the you really got down the Valorant style. This is beautiful stuff. You could still polish it, of course. You could still add to it, but the most important thing is, if you're really looking for a job and you want to be, well, if you want recruiters to remember you, you have to be very specialized, and you have to. I don't like saying this, but you have to treat them, or you have to treat people like they're dumb. Like they cannot remember anything 5 minutes beforehand. So you just need to be like super super crystal clear with your message. Like, what is it that you do? Oh, this girl, Marisa, she does illustration, and she's really good at Valorant style illustration, or whichever the case is. For this piece, I would say in terms of, I'm gonna pick this one because I feel like it's your strongest one. Yet I feel like there's a couple things to improve in here. So it has a very, very nice graphic feeling to it. Let's see it in the big screen. It has a nice reading to it. Everything is beautiful looking. From a compositional standpoint, this is amazing. It really reminds me of the Arcana, the Arcana skin line from League of Legends. So this is a really nice job. However, I would say if this was the thing that if this was an illustration that you wanted to do for Riot, they would have a couple of concerns about the material rendering. You know, it feels like you're being a little bit superficial when it comes to material rendering, because things are lacking a little bit more volume per se. So what I would do is I would try to go for a multiply layer and start carving out some of the volumes in here that I see. Because some things may look a little bit flat if you do it in this graphic style. You still want to show the forms of this thing. And you see how even though it's not changing the value structure, it's really adding to the readability. And actually by darkening this area right here, this one gets to have the most importance. This one right here. What I would also do would be something like, okay, something like this, to make sure that the character is feeling volumetric, and to make sure that there's consistency in the lighting. And I would add a little bit of a glow in here. So let's do overlay. Yeah. Oh crap. Let's do overlay, and we're gonna go with this sort of color. Or actually, let me go with screen. It's gonna be pretty difficult. You know, like this is before and after. It's a silly thing. The illustration, it's already beautiful, but if you really want to match the style, you have to basically pay a little bit more attention to the volumes and everything. I see some things that definitely could be improved, like the overall lighting direction. It feels like you have a light source hitting the character from this angle, but for some reason there's another lighting hitting the character from this angle in the shoulders, where it should be actually quite reversed in terms of logic. So you would do something like this, and you would actually let this planes right here. I also feel like we're missing some ambient occlusion because this is like kind of really graphic. So we want to do our best to try and make sure that this is resting on top of the character shoulders and chest. So we're going to do that, and we're going to carve out the volumes. Okay. And yeah, that's kind of the feedback that I have for you. I hope this is helpful, and I hope that you keep drawing and painting because this is definitely uh, it's really really solid, I would say. And you just need to keep refining and keep tweaking and being more specific about the thing that you want to do, because that's the only way that I know of on how to get a job in the industry. So overall, one more time, we're gonna see before and after, and I'm gonna rank the portfolios again. So previously I forgot to to do the ranking. So for Fallerium, I would say you're in the solid but lacks direction category. Um, and for Maresa, I think it was, we need some more direction as well. Where is Maresa? Where is number 23, right? Mm-mm. My gosh, you guys, I'm blind. I. My gosh, do I have to really go one by one? My gosh, where's Marisa? Well, you know what? Let me do this. Mm. Yeah, we're gonna do it good old-fashioned way. There we go. That's Marisa. We're gonna do a next one. How you guys doing so far? Hey, how's it going? It's going great. Hi, Kuya. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Lucy. Thank you so much. Let's see. Let's do the number thing again. Generate 33. Okay. Okay. So who's 33 on the list? We have Ubasti. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Can you guys tell I'm using the notepad from Windows? That's how freaking much of a boomer I am. Okay. You guys see, this is what I mean. Clearly, Ubasti right here, they've got direction down. Like, you can tell they want to do a very specific thing, which is Splash for League of Legends. But let's see how it's going so far. Yeah. Looks like Ariana Grande. Hmm. I see. I feel like this is gonna be a rather quick one, but uh, yeah. Honestly, I feel like you're trying to build a cake and put the icing on top without the foundation, which is the actual cake. So, in terms of maybe compositions and actual material rendering and showing of the forms, everything is great. Like, this is beautiful. The only problem is the foundations are not right just yet. You need more work in your fundamentals, and you need more work in specifically like body structure and proportions, because there's a lot of things that I like about this, but there's so many things that are being left and that I wish I would see, because there's not enough mastery just yet about the fundamentals and about the body structure mostly. I feel like you got the Riot style in your work, but probably you would be better off by trying to put this to the side for a bit and really try to hone in your fundamentals and try to actually uh, become obsessed with the fact that you need to improve your body structure. Like, for example, something like this. I'm gonna do a small paint over for you and hope that it's helpful. So the first thing that I wanted to do is whenever I have to really correct something and I'm not sure where to begin, I would usually go with lines. So I would create a new layer, lower the opacity, and start drawing some lines on top. So let me go with my soft, the airbrush, and we're gonna figure out the structure of this body together, okay? Like the gesture of the thing, it's really nice. Okay, I see the arms going like this. I feel like the torso could be a little bit more impactful if it all was leading in this direction right here. So I'm being very gestural. I don't know if you can tell my hand movements, but they're pretty much starting from the shoulder because I'm using this to figure out the gesture and flesh out the body of the character before doing anything. So we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna take the torso out in here. And now the problem that I realize we have is the actual body is okay. It's the head that is super, super ginormous compared to the body. So let's try to solve it together. So I'm gonna copy the head, and actually I'm gonna use this. So I'm gonna copy the head and make it smaller and put it in place. So I'm gonna, as I have more information within my lines, I like to increase the opacity of the white layer so I don't get confused with the things that are behind. Now, something really important in the Riot style is the silhouette. So I would like to make the ponytail like super, super obvious. That's a high ponytail. And yeah, we're gonna, I don't know, we can do something like this for the gesture of the ponytail. And let's figure out the breast area in here. And now we want to be super clear if we're trying to push both arms closer to the camera, which I think it's not really the case, or just the one arm into the camera, which is the better option. And the reason that it feels weird in this case is because, like, only with the head size it looks so much better. But the reason that it looks weird is because this one is supposed to be coming towards the camera, and it's just the same size as this one. So it feels, I don't know, just a little bit wonky in terms of structure. So what I want to do is make sure that I have, that I still have the gesture in mind. So I'm going to do this for the way that the hand is grabbing the thing. And I'm going to build the arm in this way. And this one, since it's going to be pushed in perspective, I'm going to do a more graphic shape for it. Now I can erase and actually start to figure out the structure of this thing. So I know that it looks like I'm giving her the like ginormous forearms and superhero biceps and everything, but this is like a very stylistic choice in order to show basically the depth and the uh, yeah, the foreshortening that we have in this illustration. So we got this part down. This is our finger. And this is the mic. And we have the circular composition around the head, which is really nice. So this is what I would say a more correct body structure for this character would look like. And it's not that you were really off, it's just that it's a matter of proportions and controlling a little bit more the fundamentals when it comes to the body structure. So that's a way of giving depth that you probably should explore, and that I hope you actually put the time into it, because you clearly got the foundations, you clearly got the other foundations right. It's just a matter of you trying to actually learn the basic composition of the body and try to figure out how to move them around so you can create the compositions that you want. So that's my feedback for you. Thank you so much for submitting, Ubasti. Let's see, where are we gonna rank this guy? Ubasti, where are you? I think I don't see you around here. Oh, here you are. Yes. This is not a case of solid but lacks direction, but more like you are lacking fundamentals. But since specifically you are lacking some proco, I'm gonna put you in here. Okay? Even though your work is solid in some of the fundamentals, I feel like you specifically need to watch proco. Okay? Let's see how we're doing in time. Okay. How are you guys feeling so far? Awesome. Hey everyone. Oh my gosh, so many people in here. Wow. Let's see. We're gonna do another number and see if it see which one got the portfolio review. Generate. Number 4. Okay, this is interesting. Willie Yang. Okay, I remember this name because I remember the portfolio pieces. Yeah, okay. This is the meat and potatoes of the live stream. First of all, first impressions. Wow, this is a really nice portfolio, isn't it? Um, I remember seeing this Jinx illustration right here on Instagram, and it was chef kiss. Beautiful stuff. The reason I think it's so freaking compelling and so successful, it's because we love Arcane, but the story that we have in here, it's the story that some of us felt like the ending of the finale of the season was. And seeing that last frame like actually into a visual, it's beautiful, it's compelling. I think that's the reason that it works. The story is being well told, the expression and everything, it's working. So kudos to you for coming up with this, and amazing. Let's see what else you have in here. So you have some Arcane style illustrations, which is really nice. I like the sense of story that you have in this. Okay, we have a full freaking splash. A Jinx fan art. Okay. Huh. All the thumbnails are so eye-catching. This is beautiful stuff. Okay, yeah. I see what you're doing. Okay, this is from a mentorship with this artist. Okay. Oh, I remember this piece. Back then when I used to teach at CGverse, I think this was by Augusto. Yes, Augusto. Amazing. Yeah, this is one of the pieces that I saw when I joined the CGverse program. Yeah. So you clearly got the fundamentals down. You clearly have direction down. So we get to be a little bit more picky about our feedback and we get to be more specific about it. Like for this one, I'm not gonna say anything because it's pretty darn good. But where I see I could improve, I could bring the most improvement to your portfolio is within these two pieces right here. So I'm gonna give you just a couple pointers in terms of feedback. So maybe you can apply them and see if you like them. Let me look for a clear example in here to illustrate my point. Because this illustration in particular, it's beautiful, but I feel like we need a little bit more design when it comes to the visual effects. And let's see, let me look for, I don't know, Bochan. Why not? Actually, I need to illustrate my point better. I'm gonna look for this other artist right here. I'm looking for very specific visual effects. So yes, it's Mary's artwork once again. Yeah, I know this guy is super freaking amazing. Uh, yeah, we have the feedback that I have for this piece in particular is, let's start with the good things. Compositionally, it works. The body, it works. The stylization, it also works. The problem that I have, the main problem that I have with this one is the visual effects. Because I feel like they need some distinct shape and they need a little bit more of a clear silhouette to match better, to better match the style. Because right now we have a lot of soft edges in here and we're missing some hard edges. So whenever you're doing something like, I don't know, let's say fire, my process for doing fire would look something like this. So I would literally grab a brush and try to do the silhouette of the thing that I'm looking for. And I would try to sculpt my way through it. And notice that I'm very much concerned about having a interesting silhouette that has a nice design to it. I'm looking for big, medium, small. So I'm looking for the big shapes, the medium shapes, and the smaller kind of shapes, you know? That's what I'm thinking when I'm doing this. And once I have this part, like now it's the time for me to actually go in with a secondary like shape and do the inner part of this thing. Always keeping in mind the gesture and where I want the VFX to be the brightest, okay? So maybe I can have like smaller shapes within here. And now when I have this base, well, I could push it like this. I could quite literally grab the liquify tool and modify it to make it more dynamic as I see fit. But for now, we're just gonna do this. And the magic tricks is when you add the glow to this thing. So I am gonna go with this dark red to glow in here. And you see how this is a little bit more stylized and a little bit more in alignment with the Riot style. So basically that's what I would try to do in order to sort out all the chaos in this VFX. So basically give me a little bit more of a defined shape. So I'm gonna carve it out using this dark color right here. I'm gonna create some negative space around it. And yeah, like basically give me something that looks visually consistent and clear. The reason that I brought this up is you see how the VFX in this painting are very much super clear in terms of shape and in terms of design. So when you do VFX next time, try to give it a little bit more structure. Now, in terms of the face I think it's beautifully stylized, although I don't know, it feels to me that there's something off about it. Maybe if we can flip the canvas, we're gonna notice exactly what it is. So let's give it a try. Huh. Well, I personally feel like it's not the biggest problem, or not really the problem in here, but I feel like we're showing too much of a top-down angle. So this is what I mean. Everything is beautiful. I think it's just a little bit out of place. So this is my circle for the head, and as you can tell, like the head itself looks fine. It doesn't look disproportionate, but the connection point of the neck, it's actually what's off in here. So remember that the neck is supposed to be connected to your ears and all the way back. And I know this is a very stylized choice, but I feel like from this angle, it's kind of taking away from the illusion of the neck having the proper structure. So I feel like the neck, if you were to do the face like this, I would have to bring down the neck a little bit outwards like this, you know, because this is a side, well, three-quarter view from the top. So what I would do is actually move the head and tilt it slightly if you didn't want to lose the gesture that you have right here. So let's see how that looks like in the real world. So I'm going to create a copy. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's a little bit more natural, okay? And the final thing that I have for this guy, which is me just being absolutely nitpicky, is we have a very intense light source that it's hitting the character, but in a very shy way. So I would actually suggest to bring a little bit more light into the whole composition. Like, let me do, I'm gonna do hard light, because that's going to carry over the overall color without modifying too much the values, I think. So hitting the sides of the character would make for a more consistent color relationship. So it's a bare minimum change, but those are the kind of things that can make the whole color palette come together. You know, because if you are isolating the characters from the rest of your environment colors, it feels disjointed and it feels like there's something off, but you cannot really exactly tell what is it. But other than that, I feel like this illustration is amazing, and I feel like this is definitely rock solid. In terms of portfolio, So if this illustration is a 10, I would say this illustration is a 7 or 8. I would try to take this down or modify it in a way that you fix the stylization and anatomy problems in here, because to me the character looks a little bit wonky and a little bit disproportionate. Like the head is too big and the body looks a little bit like a mannequin. You know, in terms of rendering, it's beautiful, but I see a little bit of a structural problem with this body. I see that you were trying to do the sort of foreshortening and a little bit more of a dramatic angle, but as you move forward with the composition, things changed and now it doesn't look as natural. So I would either take this one down or modify it so it's living up to the quality standards that you're showing in here. Uh, Another thing that I would do is keep in mind the reviewer or whoever's reviewing your portfolio, it's only going to look at the first 2 to 3 images at most. Like you have to assume they have no time. So what I would do is put my strongest pieces at the very beginning. And if I wanted to do League of Legends splash illustration, I would put those at first. Like for example, this one is pretty good. The one about Jinx is pretty good, and I would put this one in the third place because even though it's not splash illustration per se, I think it's really, really beautiful and it's in alignment with the IP. So, but basically, okay. Oh yeah, this one is also really nice. If you wanted to, this is actually pretty successful in terms of composition, illustration, everything. For this one, I feel like you're just missing a little bit more details where the light hits in the transition between light and shadow. I'm not gonna do a full demo on it because we're gonna have to go with the next one. But yeah, that's the feedback that I have for you. I am really, really impressed by this portfolio. And yeah, you just let me know if you need any more help. I'm down to help everyone. Uh, yeah, let me put this into a folder. Oh shit, I forgot we flipped the canvas. So we got Will Yang, and I wouldn't say ready for work yet. Even though this it's super super impressive, I feel like it needs a last 10% push. You know, what do you guys think? Question: should we have different portfolios for different roles if we also want to apply to smaller studios? Ah, well, here's the thing. I personally have never applied to any quote unquote studios or anything like LinkedIn or anything like that. So I'm not the best guy to ask around. What has worked for me is having a portfolio that's so focused on the thing that I want to do that the people that need me for their job find me. So at the beginning, I would be knocking on doors and asking for people to basically give me feedback. That's kind of the way that I would approach reaching out to somebody new, giving me feedback and trying to learn and actually apply what they're saying. And one of those times I happened to come across Ate Gailan, the founder of Envar Studio and the former Riot Splash Illustrator. And instead of giving me feedback, he offered me a job. But that's kind of how I got into Envar the first time around. So it was not through LinkedIn or not through applying to anything. It was just by showing a consistent portfolio that had the one thing that I had for the job. And if you're unsure about which job to pick, it doesn't mean that you have to do 20 different portfolios for 20 different jobs applications. Because technically it does, but you don't really want to do that. Because you are trimming away your chances of actually getting a job. Because imagine that you only have so much time and energy to put into your portfolio. If you scatter that energy and that effort across 20 different options for jobs, you can only be so good at each one of them. It's really a lot better to just focus on one thing and give it your best. Like you're gonna be so much better into just that one thing and so much more attractive to the eyes of the recruiters that, yeah, I think going about it the 20 portfolios route, it's not viable. It's not sustainable. It's also what I found in my own experience, not really effective. So I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not looking like a whole lot at the chat because I am so focused into this. But if, eventually, when I catch your question, I'll get to it. Let's see who's the next lucky winner. So we have 42. Okay. What are the newer ones? We got Jacob. My gosh, this is gonna be a great portfolio. Oh, it is. Holy moly. Okay. Yeah, I remember this guy. Uh, yeah, you guys tell me. Is this good or not? uh, yeah. Wow. This is kind of a beautiful in between of Valorant style and League of Legends style. You know, Valorant style of shapes and edges, Riot League of Legends style of composition and splash art in a way that's selling the character. This is beautiful stuff. I feel like this project is very, very much solid, and you also have a process video which is amazing. Chef kiss, points for that. Um, yeah, like I can tell you put a lot of effort and a lot of care into this. It really does show. Let's see. Fan champion redesign. Wow. This is void themed, and okay, it shows a little bit of the process behind it. Okay. Wow, it keeps going. It keeps going. I haven't stopped. Wow. This is quite impressive, honestly. Really, really quite impressive. Hmm. Let's look at this one, which seems to be absolutely astonishing. Like, what the hell? Okay, you do have some early compositions and color roughs. Oh, you do know 3D. Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. Honestly, I cannot even do that. Like 3D is like a mystery to me, and I don't know if I'm willing to learn it or not, but it's clear that it's working and that it's beautiful for illustrations. So basically, for this guy, Jacob, my man, you are amazing. You are like, I would say you're very much qualified for work. What I would say again is direction. Even though all the work that we've seen so far, it's beautiful, it's really showing that you know how to think, it's showing that you actually uh, put a lot of thought into it, and it's not the first choice that came to mind or not the first random idea. uh, I feel like there's so many good things in here, but I would actually try to frame your portfolio in a way that showcases which one of these two, illustration and concept artist, you want to be. Because if you show both of them, you probably gonna work with a smaller indie studio that needs both of them and that needs props design and environments and everything at the same time from just one artist. And I think you're way overqualified for that kind of job. And it seems like you really do enjoy the Riot IP. So I would definitely suggest that you frame your portfolio in a way that it's clear that you love illustration work or that you want to do concept artwork. If I were to do it for illustration, like I would put the whole Masahart project underneath the the splasher itself, not having like two separate posts for them, because even though the post and everything works and it's beautiful and it's a lot of work and it's super super amazing, I feel like it makes the message a little bit less clear. You know, you fit way too many roles, and it's super amazing because you seem to be pretty good at both character, concept artist, and illustration. So, whichever it is, make sure that there's one clear direction in your portfolio. Like, for example, this is also amazing work. Like, what the hell? Okay? And the fact that you're showing me the process and everything shows me that you know exactly what you're doing. I wouldn't be surprised if anyone got eyes on you and said like, okay, maybe this is the guy that I need for the job, you know? So, man, this is, I'm gonna say you're ready for work. Like, definitely the quality and everything, astonishing. Uh, Maybe I would just frame it in a way that's more easier to digest for anyone seeing your portfolio, because you clearly got the skills, my man. Congratulations, you got the S tier in the portfolio. So yeah, it's time to read a little bit of the chat. Dang, I know, this guy is so freaking sick. Yeah. Will the stream stay as a video afterwards? I don't know how YouTube actually works. So if the gods of YouTube allow it to be like that, well, yes. Which I hope so. I think it's by default set to be able to be seen afterwards. So yeah, let's go for a new portfolio, guys. I don't even need to paint over this guy. That's how good he is. 34. Okay. We have Jacob. I don't know if that's the way you pronounce your name. Again, I'm so sorry for butchering everyone's names so far. Uh, I hope you forgive me. Okay, this is an artist from Thailand, and we have. Okay, that's a beautiful face. Oh, Soul Fighter Aatrox. I see. Calligraphy Shaya. Okay. Hmm. I see. So, in this case, there's many things that I could talk about in here, but I feel like the one that would be the most helpful would be uh, you still need to work on the fundamentals a little bit. And one thing that I see in common with some of the portfolios of the more unexperienced artists is like one of them, their main concerns is like, I don't know how to draw backgrounds. You know, backgrounds is like a whole different uh, thing for me, and they don't know how to do it properly. Some of these are better executed than others, but the thing with painting in general is that you don't really have to think about. Let me rephrase that. The way that you want to think about painting in general is you are trying to do appealing abstract shapes. The subject matter is irrelevant. So if you are struggling to draw backgrounds and to have beautiful compositions, that's where I would start. There's a video from Cynic's Design that covers that. It's called Digital Painting for Beginners. And in this video, he teaches you how to see shapes instead of lines. Because I can see, for example, in this case, that you are very much concerned about the shapes, the lines of the character, same as in the other examples that I see so far. But it feels like we are just lacking a little bit of intention with the overall design of the painting. Let me be a little bit more clear about that. So it seems like you are really thinking about gesture and design and silhouette for the character. You just need to apply the same thinking for the background. It doesn't matter if it's a character or a background, you always need to think about the gesture and the design and the flow of the image. You know, it seems like this guy right here, I'm gonna create, lower the opacity on this thing. It seems like this guy, everything is leading like this. You see? This is the flow that I'm getting from this guy, which is amazing. It's gestural, it's pretty, I like it. But the background is going pretty much like this, which is not contributing to the overall effect of the painting. And that's why it feels boring and out of place. So one suggestion that I have for you is that you think of the background as quite literally abstract shapes. You just imagine the rest of the lines flowing to the same spot of the composition. You know, maybe you can have a line that's like this. Maybe you can have some other lines joining the rhythm in this sort of way. Anything that you want to do with it. And after you have figured out what all of these shapes are going to be, then you put the literal subject matter into place where these lines were. So for example, if I were to do this for this character, I would literally see this as an opportunity to play with the clouds or play with the visual effects, you know? And something, like there's many things I could talk about for this painting, but let's give it a try and see how we actually made it work. So let's create some shapes that resemble the actual lines that we created previously, and those are going to be the shapes for the clouds and for everything in the sky. And since this is a Soul Fighter themed kind of thing, I would actually love to apply some more foreground elements to convey the idea of Soul Fighter kind of effects. But let me create a new layer for that. So again, for visual effects, I like to start with a clear hard edge shape. Then I like to transform it into whatever I feel like it's suitable. Then I'm going to create a copy of this, and I am going to rotate it, enlarge it just a little bit, and clip it to the previous one. Now let me get rid of this, add a little bit more variety into it. And now that I got the shape down of this thing, it's time to make it really, really bright. So, yeah, this is the inside of the shape. Wait, I started with the wrong color here. Then I'm gonna do this, same for this, and same for this. Like, of course, about the values and the structure of the body and everything else, there's many things that I could critique about this. But again, the most important thing is that you want to make sure that everything that you have in your composition serves a purpose. And the purpose is to lead towards the focal point to make sure that the viewer gets the exact thing that you're trying to say with the painting. So that's kind of the overall general critique that I have for you. You just have to keep at it with the fundamentals of composition and you'll be good to go. Like, of course, you could improve the anatomy, you can improve the rendering, you can improve many things, but this is the one tip that I feel like it's gonna be uh, the least likely that you're gonna find in any other YouTube educational material. So, yeah, just from this to this. Just not a huge change in the things that we're doing behind the character, but it's helping to show the overall direction of the piece. Okay? So, my man, Jacob, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but let's see. You are in the. I'm gonna put you into this one. Lacks fundamentals. How are we guys feeling so far? Yes. S tier is amazing. Yeah, this guy is rank 1. Absolutely. uh, yeah. Let's see who's next. Thanks for everyone that's joining me so far. We're over 120 people. That's insanity. Wow. Okay, let's look for the next portfolio. And we're going to generate a number 16. Here we go. Okay, we have another page. Okay, I remember this. Beautiful stuff. Wow. This is a very interesting portfolio because it's very much illustration oriented, and it has its own website, but I feel like in terms of how easy it was to manage this one compared to the previous one, I feel like this one it's a little bit more clear and a little bit less convoluted. Still, I prefer going through the good old ArtStation instead of everything else, but this is a good choice as well. The problem that I see with this specific portfolio is there's a lot of work, but I don't know. I feel like some of it doesn't live to the quality standards that the others one do. Let's see. Like this is absolutely gorgeous. The problem that I have with this is that it looks like some sort of concept for I don't know if it's your IP or any other IP, but yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to tell exactly where to label this. Mm. And one thing that I'm really like sad about is like this illustration, the second one, uh, right here, this one. Like I love this one, but I'm having a hard time trying to find it in here because, well, all of these are getting in the way. And look at how tiny it is in here. You know, I have to find it and click it, and it's super tiny compared to the other ones. And it's probably, to me, one of the most interesting out of all the concepts that you're doing so far. So that's kind of the problem that I have with your own website. It's difficult to balance things out, and I know you're trying to show yourself that you're not like your default kind of person, that you have a little bit more personality than that. But if you're gonna do it, make sure that it's in a way that it doesn't detract from the whole work. There's different aspects that I could talk about this portfolio. One of them I feel like would be the edges in a painting. Both edges and yeah, basically edges is the common thing that I see in here. So First, for starters, this illustration is nice. I just think it's just not as polished and as cleaned up as the other ones. I see a lot of rough edges around everywhere, so it doesn't match the vibe or the quality level from the rest of your portfolio, so I would advise you to not show it until it's ready or to take it down altogether. But for something like this, it's really okay. You see, if I want to drag this into Photoshop, I have to like take a screenshot of this because it doesn't let me copy it. So that's one of the downsides of having your own website. So if we were to take a look at this, the problem that I have with edges is that, so edges go from really soft to really harsh. And I'm gonna do this with this sort of background in here. So edges can be soft, firm, hard, lost, whatever you want to call them. But the problem that I see with this illustration in particular, and well, not this illustration, this portfolio in particular, is that everything that you're showing me in here has the same range of edges, which is in this like weird in between of a hard edge and a lost edge. It's like a firm kind of edge, you know, where you can still see the transition to one thing or the other, but it's like not super either super crispy or super lost. So one of the ways that I would suggest that you can actually improve this piece is by expanding the edges, the range of your edges. Like some of the edges in the face could be just as sharp as you have them, but some of them could be lost. Like I don't need all of this information and all of these hard edges in here. So maybe what I'm gonna do is try to go for a Gaussian blur filter. Maybe this is too much, but this is gonna show the point. So everything is like super soft. Then I'm gonna like erase away from it. You know? Which I think it does make a difference, and I think it does help a little bit. You know? Like there's a lot more contrast, and therefore there's a lot more interest in all the different illustration parts. It also, for example, for this piece, I feel like we would need a little bit more consistency in the lighting. Meaning, the front part of the dress is just being lit just as much as the face, you know? But it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's just as dark as anything else within the dress. So what I would try to do is like carve out all the different volumes in here. And if it's going to be too much, I can always tone it down to make sure that it's not competing with everything else. Also, something that I think would help would be like having a sort of rim light in the hand that would help showcase the form, because otherwise it's going to be like lost in the actual painting. So I'm gonna also I'm gonna go for a screen layer, and I'm gonna go to try and lighten this part up. Because even though it's absolutely beautiful in terms of the construction and everything, I feel like we're just missing some contrast to not lose readability in this illustration after we dealt with the edges. Yeah. All the changes that I'm doing are super, super rough, so it's probably not gonna be as pretty, but you get what I mean. You have to make sure that the lighting is feeling a little bit more consistent, and even though I know you're designing this on purpose, it feels like if you don't apply the lighting to everything else, it's gonna be, uh, it's gonna read flat in the at the end of the day. So we can do that, and maybe finally some slight bit of glow in here. To enhance whatever's going on here. I would say this portfolio is really uh, shape oriented, this illustration specifically. Like, I can look at these shapes for hours and they're beautiful. I just feel like we need a little bit more control on where we put those shapes, because that's a lot of effort to draw and paint, and it's beautiful. Uh, but it's in a dark area where no one's gonna actually see all the beautiful and hard work that you made. So the shapes are nice, just the values we need to correct to make sure that it's reading a little bit better. Although I just softened the crap out of this thing, I feel like that's kind of the way that I would approach it. You know, having a clear top plane receiving light surface in this arm that shows me that there is an arm in front of the silhouette. So yeah, beautiful stuff. This looks like a book illustration, like a cover illustration kind of portfolio, and I feel like it's really working. I don't know if it's your intention to apply to any sort of company, any work that you want to do specifically. If you were to do that, I would try to match the exact aesthetic that they're trying to look for. Or if you're already matching the aesthetic of some book or something that I don't know, then you are well on your way because all your work looks kind of consistent. So that's a good indicator. Uh, so yeah, by the way, these are the least interesting illustrations that you have or concepts that you have right now. So make sure that you put at the top things like this. Like this is very eye-catchy. The colors and everything is beautiful. Things like this, and make sure that they're not super tiny, super small. Like for example, this one, I can see that you, maybe you're not, but I can see that you're a fan of Wei Feng and his way of coloring things and his way of adding some color notes to make the colors a little bit more vibrant. And this is amazing stuff, but I just feel like you just need to showcase it in a proper way. So that's kind of my 2 cents on this side, but this is a beautiful portfolio. So let's see, which category do we put it in? Simona. Lacks fundamentals? I wouldn't say that. Solid but lacks direction? I wouldn't say that. I would say, for the purpose of working in book cover illustrations, you are almost ready to work. I would say you just need to display it in a way that's quite literally impossible to miss. You have so many good work. You just need to showcase it in a way that's just as beautiful. Uh, yeah, we're gonna go with the next one. Oh my gosh, you guys, we are entering the final, the final part of the live stream. I know it's, I didn't get to as many of them. God damn it! But maybe we can do something in the future, and we can still work around this. It's 46 portfolios, you guys. I am so freaking honored and amazed that you guys wanted me to just give you my feedback. Maybe in the future we can do this thing again, and yeah, it's gonna be enjoyable and it's gonna be fun for all of us. For now, we have room for 3 more portfolios before we go, so it's gonna be like, it's gonna be pretty tight on time. So yes, there we go. Number generator 29. Okay, 29 is Jonas. Let's see. Okay. Let's see how you describe yourself. Character artist. Okay. We have some splash looking kind of work. We have some thumbnails. Okay, this is okay. We have some 3D. Okay, this is beyond my scope. I don't understand a thing about 3D. We have some keyframes, some fan art, some more keyframes, but it looks like the base is made out of 3D. This is definitely 3D. Okay. So again, overall, by just looking at these few pages and these few pieces, you seem to be pretty good at most of the art fundamentals. I would say again, you just need some more direction. It's the same feedback as for some of the previous portfolios. You just want to make sure that the limited amount of energy and effort that you have, you put it into one thing, because that is going to lead you a lot better results if you scatter that across multiple subject matters and multiple job applications. So if you want to do things like that, like arcade seri, like this is beautiful stuff. You just need to make sure that if this is the lane that you want to pick, you specialize on it and you will not rest until you get so freaking good at it. Okay. In terms of fundamentals, I feel like we are lacking a little bit of intentionality. The way that I think about it is, well, not intentionality. Let me rephrase that. The way that I see this is we are lacking the style, and we are mixing a little bit of. You know what? Let me just go with intentionality. And the reason that I say that is because we have just as much contrast in the focal point as everywhere else. So you need to really decide on what's important. Because you see there's a backlight in the background. There is the visual effects. There is the rim light. And everything is just as bright. Like if I were to look at this in black and white, it's just so bright, right? So I need to make sure that one of those gets the spot and gets the actual stage, so everything else can be subdued and let the one thing shine. So if I were to correct this piece into a more splash art Riot sort of direction, what I would do is I'm gonna do lighten. I'm gonna create a lighten layer, which is basically gonna lighten everything in here, and I'm gonna erase the character. Okay, now I'm gonna use a darken layer, which is super important because what I want to do is tone down all of these different visual effects so they don't call attention to unwanted places. So I'm basically going to darken that, and I'm going to darken this part a little bit. Just by doing these two things, it's already going in a better direction, I think. Now, let me darken the background a little bit more because we don't want it to be as bright. We could literally be better off having the background this dark. Okay, and now I'm gonna pick a cool color, and I'm gonna go for overlay. The reason that I'm doing this is because I feel like the shadows and the lights should be a little bit more leading to one or the other side of the color wheel, and right now it's a little bit too neutral. So as soon as I do this, it feels like the arm is more integrated within the composition because it's actually carrying some of the colors from the background and from the light source. So that's what I'm doing here, also in here. This is what I would do. Now let me erase away the silhouette of this character so it's a little bit more clear what's important and what's not. Okay, I would also add a little bit more light in here. And just by simple changes like this, by sorting out the priorities in an illustration, you're gonna get work that reads a lot better and work that catches your attention in the right way. So there's many pieces of feedback that I could have for this, like we need to add more, I would say, smaller shapes to the VFX to make them interesting, because right now it's just like a full, like an LED stripe coming from left to right. And I feel like we could do a little bit more of smaller and medium-sized shape to join the flow of the thing to make it actually better. But yeah, if you wanted to incorporate some more of this light, we could also do that with an overlay layer. And like I said, if the shadows have the correct colors, it's gonna look way better, even though I'm basically changing nothing from the illustration. Now I think where the readability gets lost in this piece, it's in here. This part right here, it's the one that has the least clarity to it. So I would try to make sure that my values are reading, meaning I need the parts in light of the character to be reading as light. So that means I have to darken the background behind it. And if I want to do something like a silhouette or something like this to push it, I'm going to have to be a little bit more consistent about it. Like, I know I'm losing some of the details in here, but I hope the point is clear when I say that you need to illustrate, you need to be super clear with the hierarchy in your painting in order to read. So this part is also unclear, so I would darken it. So basically, yeah, that's kind of the treatment that I would do if I wanted to show the three-dimensionality of the piece. This is a super rough way of doing it, because I'm not actually aiming to create the most beautiful thing ever, but I think it shows the point. I hope the point is a little bit more clear in here. Let's see it before and after and see if there's a little bit of improvement or not. Like here versus here. I feel like that's the power of clarity in your message. So yeah, we're gonna place your portfolio in the, wait, Jonas, where's Jonas? We got Jonas in here. There we go. I would say in the definitely you are solid. You still have some fundamentals to actually polish, but I would say you're solid and you lack direction. Okay, so there's that. Let's move forward. Let's keep it going. Whew. Let's see what else. What else do we have here? Let me read the chat for a sec. Oh, I thought we was gonna go through all of them. Oh man, I wish I actually had time to do it. I wish. Thank you so much for the review. I really appreciate it. No problem. That's my pleasure. A lot of helpful feedback to improve my work and my portfolio display. Absolutely. If you have anything that you could use help with, you just let me know, and eventually I'll get to you. Please don't delete this video. It depends. It depends. It really does depend on the YouTube gods. The I have no idea how it works because this is my first live stream, you guys. So, yeah. Your insights are fantastic. Thank you so much. You're making me blush. Any chance you can do all of them in some other stream next week or something like that? I mean, I could try to do a different format or for portfolio review. What I was thinking is maybe doing some shorter version, like some real kind of version of the portfolio review, where I get to spend well, a little bit of time with just one portfolio and showing it in one reel. I don't know if that's something that you would be down to, but I feel like definitely I want to do this again in the future, despite me saying in my Instagram stories that I'm never doing this again and it is a lot of work. I actually enjoy it a lot. So yeah, don't worry about it. Eventually we're gonna get through it. And yeah, thank you so much for keeping it up in the chat. Oh, it's my choice if I want to keep it or not. Okay, I'm gonna look into it afterwards. Let's see. Let's go through a new portfolio. Number 4. Did we already do number 4? Yes. Number 11. Felipe. Wow. Okay, this is pretty. This is promising. Beautiful stuff in here. We have some illustration. This is your own character, I see. You have some process shots, your gifs, close up, beautiful stuff. What else you got? Oh, you have the character design of the thing. And you have some fan art. Okay, you have the process. Beautiful stuff. Wow. These are actually super, super pretty. So Felipe, what I'm seeing right now, it's you have a very, very good understanding, I think, of the fundamentals. Of course, there's room for improvement, but overall, I feel like this is really amazing work. The only problem, again, it lacks a little bit of direction, because if I was an art recruiter, I wouldn't know what to hire you for, because you have some illustration work, some character design work, but none of them is like just as good as some of the things that I would expect, or doesn't go as deep as some of the other artists that I see on the internet. For example, if you want to be a splash artist, the quality bar is pretty high, but that doesn't mean it should be discouraging. It's actually, I look at it the other way around. Like, if I am able to do this kind of work, then I'm going to be able to do pretty much anything. I feel like I think about it this way. And whenever I see an illustration portfolio from someone that's already working, like, it's abundantly clear what this guy or this girl is about. Like, you see the thing and you're like, oh my god, okay, they're serious about it. And let me ask you a question. If you were someone trying to hire, if you were hiring an illustrator for your game because you need some, I don't know, some loading screens, who would you hire? Hire Mary, or would you hire Felipe? I think I would rather go with Mary, not because I hate Felipe or because his work is not good, but because I think Mary has done this 100 times more than Felipe. And it shows me some depth, it shows me some experience. And at the end of the day, when you are a recruiter or when you are applying for a game or for a company, the only reason that they are going to hire you is because they are going to make money with your work. You are going to make them money. And with money comes risk. So basically, the least amount of risk that you can offer a company, the more likely that they're going to hire you. And the more, the more chances that you get to actually being considered for the job. So It's not that the portfolio is bad, or it's not that the quality of the things are bad. It's just that it lacks a little bit direction and it lacks a little bit of depth. Imagine if I were to show, uh, instead of six posts of concept art, some fan art, and some illustration work. Imagine if those six were actually six illustrations. All six of them have nice thumbnails, have nice process for it, have nice understanding of what the problem is and how you're trying to visually solve it. So I feel like that's a lot more impactful and that's a lot more engaging for anyone looking at your portfolio. Uh, Again, if I were to do any sort of paint over for this guy, which I'm not gonna do right now because it's okay, you know. I don't think he needs a paint over as much as some of the other guys did. But if I were to critique something in terms of fundamentals, what I'm seeing right now uh, is that you need to improve your hand games, my man. Like the hands that I'm seeing in here, they tend to be a little bit wonky and a little bit like meaty in a way. So I'm gonna show you because I noticed it across all of your hands. So even though the images are super small and from different projects, I feel like the everything applies. Let's see. You just need to put a little bit more effort and a little bit more time and care and attention into the hands. So yeah, I got one tip for you. I got one practical tip for you to improve your hand drawings. And I'm gonna explain it like this. So hands are beautiful because they're a complex form of anatomy. So they can move in a lot of ways, they can do a lot of things, but most importantly, hands have a great opportunity to show gesture. So what I mean by this is like you can be grabbing a sword like this and it's okay. But what if we grab the sword in like a way that's like squeezing it, it's super tight, the grip is super tight, and it makes it look like the story has a sense of purpose. So what I'm saying is whenever you're trying to draw hands, make sure that you get the gesture first. Like this hand is lacking a little bit of gesture and it's feeling a little bit awkward because it's like doing this. You would never grab something like this, quite literally. So you have to make sure that the hand is like actually, well, grabbing something. So I'm trying to make sure that the hand, this imaginary hand that I'm drawing, is wrapping around something. And then for the fingers, like let's say this is the hand that I want to draw. So the fingers, one really quick tip for drawing better hands immediately is you never want to group four fingers like this, because that creates unintentional repetition, and we are very much used to know what hands look like, and we are very much aware of this undesired repetition. So when we do see a hand like this, when we do see like this, it's not interesting. So one solution that I got for you is either the pinky or the index. You have to put them out in some sort of way. And that's going to create a nice gesture between the fingers just by offsetting the direction of one or two. So what I like to do in this case is like I'm going to take the index out. And the rest of them, I'm going to group them the same way. You know, I don't even need to draw all the remaining fingers for you to understand my point in here. And the knuckles. But by having this like smaller negative space, the hands become immediately a little bit more fluid and a little bit more intentional. Like, of course, I could do many things to actually make this hand a little bit more appealing. Like, try to actually form it into a nice shape, you know? So basically think about the gesture, think about what the actual hand is doing, and whenever you're drawing hands in your illustrations, please take a picture of yourself. It's the easiest, most reliable way of getting hands right every single time. So yeah, that's my tip for you. we are gonna put, uh, wait, I didn't qualify, I didn't rank Felipe's portfolio. What are we gonna do with Felipe? Where do we put him? What do you guys say in the chat? Let me remind you what Felipe's portfolio looked like. So, would you guys say it lacks direction? It lacks fundamentals? Which kind of tier are we speaking here? In the meantime, I'm gonna read some of the comments. Oh, I see Pedro joined us. Hey Pedro, how's it going? Oh my gosh. Hey, great review. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I see Kuya JP in the chat, you guys. That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, lacks direction, lacks fundamentals. You remember me? Of course I remember you, dude. How could I not remember you? THU was a lot better thanks to you, my man. Of course I do remember you. Thank you so much. I think Felipe, I'm gonna say, lacks direction more than fundamentals. That would be appropriate. Let's do another one. $25, which is, oh my gosh, yeah, this name, I'm gonna say Memori. I, I'm sorry, you guys. I suck at this thing, but let's see. Wow. Okay. Really nice first impression here. Artist from Thailand. I'm gonna call you Memori. I don't know if that's correct, but I hope it is. Wow, you have a lot of work. Wow, you do have a buttload of work in here. Kudos to you. It looks like you want to be a splash artist because I see a little bit of a difference with the other portfolios, and in this case you do have the direction clear. Okay. I would definitely say this is your strongest piece. Wait, never mind. I feel like this is your strongest piece. Really cool work, and you have the thumbnails for it. Beautiful. Do you have thumbnails for this one? Oh yeah. Beautiful stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. You have a lot of good work in here. And you are showing, like, this is what I mean. If you're going to show the illustration, you also want to do the character design for it. You put it in the within the same post, okay? Which is great job. Advice that I have for you. I do have some advice. I do have some advice. First one being, you have a lot of work, a lot, and that's a good thing. But only if all the work is living to the same quality standards as the one thing that you most recently did, which is the best one. And I say it's not the case. Like some of the things, like this one, for example, is like good, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like it belongs in the same story. Like for example, this one right here, even though everything is beautiful, the face is a little bit out of place. That may be the reason why it looks weird. But yeah, like some of the things in here, I would just take them down because that's gonna clutter your portfolio, and it's gonna be like, not too sure of whether this guy is good or not. Things like this, I think a better place for them is Instagram or wherever you share your personal drawings. Definitely, I would stick to work like this if you want if you want to be a splash artist. This is beautiful work. Of course, there's things that we have to correct, but this is a very, very, very solid piece of work and very nice start. So that would be advice number one for you. Basically, trim down your portfolio into just the best pieces. Things like this, like character design out of this, it's beautiful work, but we don't really care about it if you are going in the splash direction. Okay, I want to make that abundantly clear. No mix between concept and illustration because you're going to get hired for one thing, not for both. Uh, so let's see. This illustration that you have right here, you have some thumbnails, which is great. You have a very complicated problem to solve in here, which is dealing with multiple characters in the same composition. And I would say, yeah, I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna do this one because I feel like this is where you could improve the most. So overall, this is beautiful, but I think it's Bochen, the one that did this Shaya illustration. My gosh, will you ever load, please? Yeah, in the meantime, this is really nice. The only problem that I see is it lacks a little bit more of value control. Like right now, even though things are okay, there's so many things that are not being properly communicated because they're getting lost in the same illustration. Like if I were to say this is the black and white version of the illustration, and I were to look at it like super tiny, I don't understand anything. Like the only thing that stands out is it's Shaya, but since I don't understand everything else in the illustration, it feels like she's just floating to the left side of the canvas with no context. So we're gonna try to fix that. So I'm gonna do the values for this one thing. I'm not even gonna focus on the colors. I'm gonna do this in black and white so you guys do not miss the point. So whenever we have multiple characters, it's really important that they read with their silhouette. Meaning, if I have this character right here, probably the most intelligent thing would be to actually carve out the silhouette and make it into a little bit more of a contrasty shape. Because the shape is well designed, it's just getting lost in the background. So we basically, before I do anything in here, let me just be super clear. Before we do anything in here, I want to try to explain what it is that I am thinking for this painting. And it's like basically, since the lighting is not super strong in this kind of setup, what I would like to do is group the values by how deep they are in the composition, or how close or how far they are from the camera, which is the most simple way of doing this. So basically, I'm gonna have, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this instead of the actual paint over because it's gonna take me a lot of time to carve out the silhouettes and everything. But what I'm seeing is this. Okay, so here's the value of the background, fairly light. Now we do have the character, which I'm going to represent with spheres, because spheres is the most simple ways of doing things. So you're probably, if you're studying anything art related, you're going to be tired of looking at spheres, but trust me, it's worth it. So this sphere represents Shaya. This other sphere represents this other character, and here I think it's Misfortune or whoever it is. Then we have this other one in here, and the thing that I'm doing is I am making sure that they're not colliding in value with the same, with the other ones. Meaning, I want to make sure that it reads as 3 levels of depth. So level number 1 is like the foreground, the thing that's closest to the camera, that would be Shaya. The second one would be the secondary characters, which are in the midground. And the third thing would be the background character. So basically, that's Aatrox, I know, but this is kind of what I was thinking for the painting, because even if I zoom out, like way out, I still read the things super clearly, and I'm missing that thing in here. But how do we deal with different local values when we have this sort of lighting setup? Well, it's pretty tricky, because atmospheric perspective, the way that it works is not that something gets lighter as it goes in the distance. It just means that we have less room for contrast as it goes back in space. So that means if I want to have, if I want to make sure that Saya, which is the main character in here, it's super abundantly clear and it's not going to get mixed with the characters in the background, I'm going to use the full range of contrast in this character. And if she has like a dark suit design with a very light cape and a very light bodysuit, that means I'm going to use the full value range for it. So, you know, so this is like, let's say this is the equivalent of Shaya's design in here. Okay, now I want to apply the lighting onto this thing while still keeping the principles. So like I'm saying, the most important thing is making sure that we don't actually lose the readability of the composition. So what I'm trying to say here is, let's say we have a light source coming from the top right, which is exactly what I'm seeing right here. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make sure that the values don't merge together, you know? So same for this guy right here. And in this way, we can actually understand how depth of field is going to be our best friend when it comes to a difficult composition. Because the atmospheric perspective is going to take care of all the things, and the only thing that we need to do is make sure that whatever is the most important gets treated like so. So most important means I need to show enough contrast in the foreground and least contrast as I go back in space. So that's kind of how I would think about solving this particular piece. There's many things, again, that I could say about stylization and proportions and many other things, but that's kind of the way that I would try to think about it. Okay? What do you guys think? Do you guys understand my point, or do you think I was a little bit unclear in the way that I explained it? The sphere is back. Yes. The sphere is always back. Yeah, that's a beautiful Shia skin. I know. Oh wait, I closed the portfolio. Wait a minute. Let me go back. Let me find your image. Beautiful stuff. I think it was right here. One of the... Yes. And we're gonna put you in not ready for work. Well, although you are pretty much ready for work, you've clearly worked in the past with some clients, but I would say your fundamentals are strong, but you do need a little bit more of a last 10% push, which might be looking like a lot, but those kind of things, as you start to be aware of the problem, you get that it's a priority kind of problem, not a fundamental per se kind of problem. So you can work on the illustrations that you have, and you can be more clear about what's the focal point, which one's closest to the camera, which one is more important, and just bring it all to the same level of importance. It's more about understanding the art direction rather than the actual fundamentals per se. So that's why I'm putting you in the needs last 10% push. You have a great body of work, and it's amazing. Thank you so much, Memori. Again, I'm probably butchering your name, so yeah. And we are gonna go with the last portfolio. I'm gonna read the comments for a little bit before doing this last one. I know we didn't have enough time to cover all of them, but you guys, this has been amazing, and I really appreciate all of you sticking around. I hope the insights that you're seeing the insights that you're hearing are very valuable, and some of it applies to you. And again, if you guys need anything with like help or anything related to this, I'm very much down for helping you guys. You just need to DM me, and eventually I'll get back to you. I have a lot of DMs left to to respond to, but eventually I'll get to you. You can bet on that. Let's see. I really love how you explained everything. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really put a lot of effort into it. You managed to even my ADHD. Okay, that's a nice compliment. You managed to even my ADHD brain paying attention nonstop. I'm gonna take that as a nice little compliment. Jonathan says the goat. Thank you. Gorgeous work. Yeah, it looks amazing. Absolutely. Let's go with the last one, you guys. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of them, but I am sure we're gonna be doing this some other time. Maybe not today, but in the coming days. Number 4 again. Number 20. 20 is the winner. Let's see. Okay, I think you're in the chat. I think I saw your name in the chat a little bit earlier. Maybe this is for you. Okay. Where is this? Last one. Yes. Your name is Otane? I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry again. But let's go through your portfolio, shall we? Okay, it says in here you're open for opportunities. You're from Brazil. Let's look at your portfolio. Which is a pretty damn solid start. Okay, you have some beautiful color compositions while keeping the same overall values. I like that. I can see that you're using a 3D base for it. Amazing work. You're offering me some sort of ideation process thumbnails. 12 thumbnails for picking up which idea is the final. It's amazing. It's astonishing. And we also get to know a little bit about the characters in here. So this is really cool. Let's see what else you got. Okay, those are some very eye-catchy character designs. Yeah, this is beautiful work. Beautiful work, man. Wow. I like how there's iteration process for all of these, but you are also showing me a way of the characters being displayed in context, which is 10 times better of selling a way of selling me the characters and the design of it, because mm, when I get to see things in context, I understand exactly what I'm looking at. So the fact that you have the characters in here lined up in this road with snow and the Christmas vibes, it makes the whole picture, like, it makes the last 10% click for me. So this is very beautiful stuff. Again, amazing work. Yeah. So this is kind of a tough one because I don't really have a whole lot to add to. Mm, I don't know exactly or specifically which kind of games or which kind of productions are you trying to aim for, but I would say this is very much ready for work for some of the companies that would be interested in your style and having a similar kind of vibe to it. I would say, uh, like about the process of the characters, I don't really have a lot of complaints or anything like that. I feel like your art fundamentals are pretty damn solid. The fact that you know 3D shows me that you are a dedicated artist, and I'm gonna be jealous about this for the longest time ever because I cannot do 3D. And I probably will not be able to do it anytime soon because I don't really enjoy it. But I can see you thinking very hard about the different parts and the different pieces that would lead to the final design. So this is really good. It shows me that you're thinking. You do have a little bit of context of the problem that you were trying to solve, and this is showing that this is great work. It shows me that you know how to think. So in this case, I would say if you wanted to be hired for a very, very specific kind of thing, I would try to trim down your portfolio into the same style of things. Like some of these are a little bit more 2D oriented, a little bit more graphic, which is fine. But in here, this one reads to me as a vis depth kind of piece where I get to explore what's happening with these characters, which is amazing. Like, not to say the quality of this work is not great, it's just that it's a little bit different from all the other ones. So if you really want to make sure that you are doing a great job at being one kind of a one trick pony, you make sure that all the aesthetics match in your portfolio. Like, if I were to cover up this one, and I were to cover up, for example, uh, well, this thing doesn't need to be here. I can tell it's out of context. I think this is not also supposed to be here. If you were to cover this portfolio and you end up with this four pieces, it would be amazing. Um, and if I were you, we're doing if I were you, I would try to change the thumbnail of this project right here, because you want to sell the characters. Like, the illustration itself, it's good, it's cool, but it's muddying the message. You need to show only the characters because that's what you want to be known for, I think. So, beautiful work. Fundamentals are in place, and the overall quality and the depth of the work, I think it's pretty much ready for work. You just need to add like that little last 10% of like trimming down the portfolio and making sure that everything fits the same thematic. Because again, you want to be super clear about what you're up to. So I'm gonna put your portfolio in the, I'm gonna say ready for work. I'm not gonna be that picky with you, okay? You get the ready for work kind of S tier, which, congratulations, you are amazing, my man. I think we have time for just one more, so I'm gonna rush really quickly to that last one. Any comments that I have to read? I got missed. Why? It's just by number, just by one number. I'm so sorry, man. Next time it's gonna be for you. You got one more chance. Let's see if that's you. Storytelling, 10 out of 10. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Metal Gear 1 looks so good. It does. Looks great as a concept artist. Yeah. Let's go for the last one, you guys. Let's see. And number five. Number five. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna finish up strong. I remember this name. You guys ready? This is gonna be interesting. Yes, I know this guy. He is already amazing. Like, just look at this, you guys. You tell me if it's good or not. Okay? I'm just gonna I'm just gonna let you guys do the final review for me. Look at this. This is beautiful work. Honestly, like, this is pretty much Riot level. I wouldn't say there's anything fundamentally wrong with this one. Absolutely gorgeous work. Yeah, this is very beautiful. Um, yeah, let's look at some of the other pieces. The Alistair one. This is also gorgeous. This is beautiful stuff. Like, the details, everything. My man, you got a winner portfolio. This is beautiful stuff. Do you have thumbnails for this? You do. Great job. Great job. I like it. It shows me that you're thinking. Let's see this one. This is Mistletoe LeBlanc fan splash art. Okay. Okay, I see. Yeah, you even have a GIF showing me the process, which is amazing. Uh, let's see. Like, if I were to correct something from you, I would have to get really into being super nitpicky. You know, that's how good this kind of work is. So it looks like you already got some help and some advice from some of the people working already in the industry, which it's a tremendous help from to get your portfolio to the level that it should be at if you want to work with the companies. So this is absolutely gorgeous stuff, my man. Like, keep it up, keep it up. I would say if you haven't gotten a job yet, I would be surprised. And probably the reason that you haven't gotten a job has nothing to do with your work, but more of the things that you have to do in order to network with people. Uh, yeah. Again, if I was you, I would trim down your portfolio. Things like this don't belong in here, even though it's super cool and it shows range. It's not necessary. I would get rid of like, uh, I would probably get rid of this. Uh, I would just only get the top four illustrations in here, and maybe keep this one. The Bard one is really good. Just the top four and the Bard one, and your portfolio is going to be a lot better. Um, Now, in terms of fundamentals, is there anything that we can correct? Like, that's not going to take more than 5 seconds? I don't think so. I think this is I think this is very beautiful. Let me look at it up close to see if there's anything we're missing here. Like again, the rendering and everything really feels impeccable. So great, absolutely great job. Um, Maybe I do have a little bit of art direction that I could give you for some of the pieces to get a even stronger portfolio and even stronger impression of the characters. So, for example, I'm gonna look at the Alistar one, and I'm gonna look at the LeBlanc one. Because both of them, I think, kind of suffer about the same problem. So let me look at the original design of the character. There is this, and the other thing is LeBlanc, which she recently got a redesign for the Arcane, which is super exciting, but we're gonna use this to go off of. So if you were to get this reviewed by an art director, the things that they would really correct you, or the things that they would really say to your work, would have probably very little with the fundamentals themselves, but with the art direction of the piece. So, for example, with LeBlanc, the problem that I'm seeing right now is that the character is not recognizable enough. Like, I think most of the female characters from League of Legends look the same. You know, like Irelia, Ari, Shaya, like same face syndrome. And the way that we prevent the characters from being mixed or getting uh, we want the characters to be able to be super iconic, and we want people to understand which character we're talking about here. So I think if I were to do something to this piece in particular, would be to find a way to show the staff of the LeBlanc staff in her hand, either like this, either like that, anything that works within the composition. Because if she's not getting the staff, she's not getting the most iconic thing from the character. You know? So it's a pretty picture, but it's hard to recognize which character she is. So maybe for the next time, you can choose a pose that's actually super fitting to selling the idea, selling the design of the character in a comfortable way. Because if she is sitting in this sort of car, and she is not doing anything particularly iconic for her, it's very hard for the audience to understand which character this is. You know, I had to look it up in the description of the work. It's not that the piece is bad in any sort of way. It's just that the character needs to be more recognizable. What else is more recognizable from her? She has this huge cape and this huge neck piece, which she does have in here, but I feel like a way of making it even more recognizable would be to actually have a sort of similar shape. Well, actually, if we don't want to cover the whole thing with just this thing, we can do something like this. And that's going to immediately start telling me that this is a character that I know. And I know, like, it seems like kind of dumb advice, but I'm telling you, the amount of times that, or the level of priority that Riot puts into this, it's ridiculous. Like, for example, I've worked on pieces like Shen, or artworks like Shen, and the problem that I have with Shen is that, again, if we're trying to boil down what makes this character unique, is, let's look it up. The one thing that makes this character like super unique is not anything about the design, because the design, I think, it's not really iconic. It's not really well made, in my opinion. The only iconic thing about Shen is the fact that she always has this iconic pose in the hands. And you can see that 99% of the splashers of this guy are showing in one way or another the same kind of pose, because that's the most recognizable element for him. For example, if you had no context, it would be very difficult to know that this is Shen. It could be Zed, it could be any other bruiser in the game, it could be Tryndamere, it could be anyone else, you know? Not to say that the skin is ugly or anything like that, it's just a matter of making the character so easy to recognize so that the average player understands exactly what this is immediately about. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. And that's where most of the feedback would be focused on when you work on an IP like this. When all the fundamentals are sorted out, the one thing that's remaining is, well, does the character look like the character in the game that we know and love? If not, we're going to make some adjustments. For example, in here with this Alistar, the problem that I have with this illustration is that he looks very imposing and he looks very big, but he looks a little bit different from the actual model that we have from Alistar. Let's look at some other skins to see if this is like a coincidence or not. Like, there's even a 3D model page, like 3D models. Let's look at Alistar. So he looks very bulky. I'm gonna screenshot it like this. Yeah, from a side view so it's easier to understand. And we're also gonna do like front view. So the first thing that I'm noticing is like the character looks beautiful and it's imposing. The only problem that I'm seeing is like he's a little bit more humanoid in this version that you painted. And I don't know if that has to do with black, with the other skin that you were painting, Golden Alistar. Which I don't think it's really the case. Like, for example, look. I'm gonna try to shoot for a similar angle in here. Okay. So it looks like he has a little bit more of a hunched back, and he has the neck moving forward, you know, like this. Like if this is the face, this is the actual body shape. And we have the horns, and we have everything else in here. But what you have currently in the character is something like more humanoid, with a huge beard. So you see how it may be a little bit different from all the other from the other concepts. Another thing to pay attention is the proportions of the character. The legs are way smaller in this character than the ones that you have in here, and the hands, even though they are big, I feel like, well, the hands or the arms are not the problem. I feel like the disproportion are part of this thing comes from the horns. The horns, as you can tell, are a little bit smaller. Like each horn is the same side visually as the face, whereas in here, it's clearly a lot thicker and a lot bigger. So those are the things that I would focus on whenever I want to do any work from the same IP. At least for Riot, they really do care about this stuff. In terms of fundamentals, in terms of rendering, composition, anything, it looks beautiful. I have very, very little to say or to critique about this. Like if I know I can get super nitpicky, but that's not the point of this. This is beautiful, beautiful work. Like look at the shapes. You can tell you know what you're doing. This is gorgeous stuff. You just need to make sure that the characters that you are drawing are iconic and that are easy to understand for the people and that get super, super immediately recognizable. So that's the feedback that I have for you. But yeah, you're pretty much portfolio. In terms of portfolio, after you remove all of this, I would say you're goddamn ready. You got it, my man. So, yeah. And we're gonna paste it in here. And you are ready. Wow. We got a lot of winners today. We got a lot of, we only reviewed, like, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 10, 12 portfolios. Oh my gosh. So many left to cover, but this is interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed it so far. And yeah, let's look at the chat for 1 minute. Shen hand, yes. It's midnight here. I'll go to sleep. Thank you for the stream. Yeah, kisses to you. Good night. Have a good one. Hi, do you have some thoughts on Vladimir's old versus new design? I haven't really checked it out, and I don't think I have time to check it out right now, but maybe later. This was fun and helpful. Thanks a lot for the stream. This was awesome. I missed most of it, but I loved it. Thank you guys. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna make sure that the stream stays afterwards so you can check it and see if there's anything helpful that you can learn from this. But for now, I think that's gonna be all for me. We have so many left to cover. It's amazing. But yeah, maybe for the next time, I'm gonna keep you guys posted in my Instagram account. I'm gonna keep you guys posted in my YouTube account. Just keep in mind, I am a mentor and I am a full-time working artist for Pandart, so I have very limited time to put into YouTube and all the social media. So it's probably take a little bit of a while. So if you guys want to reach out to me or something like that, in my DMs, I'll eventually get to you. And yeah, the idea is to slowly and gradually improve the quality and the quantity of content that we're putting out here. But yeah, for now it's gonna be like pretty indie, low budget, raw, unfiltered, unedited kind of content. So it's just me messing around with YouTube basically. But I appreciate you guys staying despite the quality of everything. So yeah, thank you guys so much for staying. Thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.